Hello, welcome to Garibaldi Red as we look back on a couple more draws for Forest, this time the 0-0 draw at West Brom on Friday night and a little bit on the draw with Luton back last week. And to do that, we're joined first of all by former Red striker Nathan Tyson. Hello, Nathan, you well?
Hi. Yeah, very good, thank you. How are you?
Good. Yes, good. Not bad at all, thank you. Not bad at all. And the second guest returning to the show is Reds fan Greg Mitchell. Greg, are you well?
Yeah, very well. Good, thanks.
Good. Well, you both watched the game on Friday. Nathan, as the guest of honour, why don't you go first? What did you make of it? I mean, Forest fans were a little disappointed afterwards. What would you have made of it as a player to draw that game?
Yeah, I think it was. I think they were there for the taking, West Brom. I think they hadn't been doing so great of late. Going down to 10 men as well. I just felt as though Forest could have took the game more to them. But having said that, coming away with a point and building on the momentum that they've built up so far is probably the most important thing. But I thought that West Brom were there for the taking, to be honest.
What about you, Greg? You went, didn't you?
Yeah,
what was the mood coming out afterwards?
Good. It was a good. I mean, the thing is, before the game in that afternoon, you'd say draw at West Brom, get a convincing win on Saturday. It was miserable conditions. God knows what it must have been like to play in, but it was never going to be fancy football in that. I mean, we were on the back row of that away stand and the rain was still hitting us, so it was utterly miserable. But it was an okay game, and yeah, first half they probably looked the better side, but we were certainly well in it, and I just think we could have gone for them a bit more even before they went down to 10 men, but we gave it a good go, and it was nice to walk away disappointed only getting a draw there. It shows how far we've come in a few weeks.
Would you have had any complaints about the sending off, Greg, if it was a Forest player who'd gone for those two yellows?
No. At the time, I thought he was. I mean, to be honest, I've not really watched it back, the highlights, because it was one of those games where you're not too bothered about seeing it again. But I thought he was going to give a straight red at the time, and the crowd certainly reacted like that. And it was interesting what Nathan said about West Brom not doing that well. As soon as the sending off happened, half their crowd seemed to disappear. They seemed to have had enough. And you thought, God, being that miserable in the position they're usually at every week in, week out, I don't think they realise how lucky they are.
I mean, Cooper made a substitution straight away. You got Alex Mighton on, he took Figueiredo off. It was a positive change. Do you think Forrest could have done anything different, Nathan, to eke out a goal? They didn't really create anything after that red card, did they?
No, that was the disappointing thing for me. I've just thought, when you you play against a team that, gone down a man, you need to, for me, it just would have been nice to maybe put more diagonal passes across the pitch. It would have been nice to switch the play a lot quicker. Just to move it, because when you go down to 10 men, the main thing that you want to do is just stay solid in the middle of the park and make the team go around you. Any balls coming in the box, defend it with your life. But Forest just didn't seem to do that. They just seemed to be lacking that cutting edge, and their possession play as well was just a little bit off. But having said that, there's so much improvement. You can see it. Even though the game wasn't great, and like Greg said, the conditions were horrible. But you're playing against a team who are in the top three, and I just felt it's like, for me, I would be disappointed, just because you go down to 10 men and you should have won the game. But coming away with a point, I'd be happy with. But just would have liked to see more penetration into the final third, just causing them more problems, especially.
Is that your dog barking, Greg?
Yeah.
No, it's not.
It's my dog.
Is it your dog? Oh, you both got dogs.
I've shut two doors just in case.
There's a delivery van outside the house. The dog goes mad. Like, you can't walk past my house. The neighbours know when they hear a bark, it's my dog. So I apologise for that now.
It's all right. Well, we just had like 10 Amazon boxes delivered or something. So at Christmas time, isn't it? It's happening to everyone.
Yeah.
Where do you think Forest are at then, Greg? It's 5 wins out of 6, I think now. 16th in the table, 7 points off the playoffs are written down here. They're not playing badly at all. They're very hard to beat. How good are they at the moment?
I would have liked 5 wins out of 6.
Yeah.
It's five draws.
5 draws, sorry. 5 draws out of 6.
we're in touching distance. 16th doesn't sound very good, but 7 points off the playoffs is brilliant. Again, where we've come from to where we are now, we're going to be one of those teams that, we're going to be in danger of losing one of two really good players for us at Christmas. But we're also going to be one of the few teams that could strengthen, and I think we will. It's weird, you come away from Luton at home delighted with a point, and you come away from West Brom away a bit gutted we only drew. So the Championship's mental, and there's going to be some weird stories happen from now until the end of the season. So I still say it could be us and we could still make those playoffs.
Mm-hmm. I guess Forest do look pretty good at the back, Nathan, don't they? I mean, I don't know how much you've seen of them this season, but Worrell and McKenna, they seem like they've got a foundation there at least.
Yeah, certainly. I was really impressed with Worrell. He's doing what he was supposed to do, defend. He was sliding in, stopping crosses. He was clearing balls out the box. He was very organised. You could tell his communication was on point with his team, and I was just really, really, really pleased with his performance. He deserves his man of the match, if I'm honest. He was head and shoulders above probably a lot of people on the pitch anyway. Mind you, I was very impressed with Spence. I thought he was the one that was going to cause issues against West Brom. I just think maybe, obviously, with what I was saying earlier, the lack of the final ball, the end products was lacking a bit. But yeah, defensively they do look solid, and the partnership he has with McKenna. I mean, I've not seen a lot of them this season, but from what I saw on Friday, I'd be very happy with. And I think that's why Greg's saying, and the fans are disappointed with, coming away with just a point. You could tell that the game was there for the taking, and with how much progress Forrest has made, it's definitely a move in the right direction. But the defence is very, very key. Samba looks very good. I thought he played very well. He looks confident, and I was pleased with it. When you got back, when you know you can rely on your defence and they're not conceding goals, the rest is pretty much easy. Well,
Samba does look good, to be fair. Who's the best keeper you would have played with, Nathan? You can say Bywater at Derby if you want, but
I'll never play. I played with him at Doncaster actually. I'd probably say Marcus Hahnemann at Reading. Was probably one of the best keepers I played with. To be fair, he had a mistake in him. He had a wild moment. he would come charging out, and he probably thought he's quicker than what he was. But he's when he got the ball from set pieces, he would just chuck it to the halfway line, and you were gone. The counter attacks were fantastic, and that season we got into the playoffs that year. But he's definitely up there for me.
How much difference? I asked that because I'm going to say, how much difference does it make when you know you've got a quality keeper? Do you know you've got someone who's probably not at the standard that you really want? Does it make a big difference in defenders' minds?
Yeah, because especially if you're playing back to your goalkeeper and stuff, you want to make sure your keeper is able to deal with a variety of back passes and etc. If you're not confident in your goalkeeper, it runs through the defence, and then it filters through the team. You don't have no confidence in that player, which is unfortunate, really. But then that's where we train, 4 or 5 times a week to make sure we get that relationship right. And goalkeepers can have an off day, just like the outfield players. And you definitely want someone that is if someone's going 1v1 with that keeper, they've got a very good chance of keeping you in the game.
Yeah, Samba's certainly been sensational of late. Going back to the West Brom game, Greg, the team selection was always going to be interesting because they're short at left back, and there was a question of whether it would be Bong or Lolly or whoever at left wing back. I wanted to talk about Bong. I saw you did tweet after the game the other day. He got booed coming on by Forest fans.
Yeah, I mean, it was a minority. It was only a few, but it was so clear. I mean, I had friends in the Trent end who said the same, and it's just I don't get. It's so easy to be a football fan, and you think, why on earth would you do that? It's just mental. If the bloke's not, his confidence might be a bit shot anyway. He's going to see the comments, but he don't need to hear it when he's coming on the pitch. And to be fair, at West Brom, he's not the first choice. We're struggling if he's having to be the first choice, but get behind him. And people did at West Brom. They were singing his name, and couple of mistakes, but he didn't do that bad a job. I do wonder whether you take one of the, like, if you take Figueiredo out, you could even, someone was even talking about putting Mighton in a position like that. And I mean, stranger things have happened, haven't they, with like Matty Cash and how he developed. And I do think Bong isn't the solution, but if that's the guy we've got there, then, you know, get behind him. And a couple of mistakes against West Brom, but he didn't cost us anything. And he, you know, he did his job really. So it's just... Yeah. The Luton game, that was just disappointing. It reminded me of the bad times at the start of the season, but it was a minor thing. It wasn't too bad, luckily.
No, I mean, I got pilloried for saying he'd done okay at half time.
It's mad, you know, yeah. But do you know the one positive of this is it's took the pressure off Yates, and Yates played superb again, and it's like the usual suspects aren't digging at him every week, so it's just strange football fans.
He got booed by Albion fans for a pathetic reason, because he accused Jay Rodriguez of racist abuse in 2018. It wasn't proven, but it's not the reason to boo a player. That was really pathetic. What about Bong, Nathan? I don't know. You won't have seen too much of him. He didn't have a great game, didn't have a bad game. But is it difficult being a teammate of a player who you know the fans aren't on side with, and that you know he's struggling?
I think it's a concern. I think the most important thing is you need to check in with his welfare and his well-being. You know, to be booed by your own fans, it's a confidence killer. And you're asking the player, you know, as a fan, you're asking that player to perform for your football club. And how is he going to want to perform for your football club if he knows he's getting booed? Like Greg said, it's only a small minority. I've been booed in the past, and it's a confidence killer. We're human beings at the end of the day, and it's sad to hear that. It's sad to hear that. And he didn't do much wrong, and he didn't do, you know, certain things that I would like to see my left back do or wing back do. But at the end of the day, he was still part of the team that kept a clean sheet. But if I was the captain, obviously the manager and the coaches, I don't know them. But I'd like to think that they're putting their arm around him, checking that he's okay. Because if it was one of my teammates getting booed, I'd be sitting down with them, just checking in with them, saying, "Look, you okay?" You know, fans can be very, very fickle and quite vicious at times. But on the flip side of it, they can be right behind you as well and be the nicest people that you can ever meet. But it's sad to hear that. It's sad to hear. He's a human being at the end of the day. He's not a bad player. He's become a professional footballer for a reason, and you know, it's just sad. Like Greg said, he didn't do much wrong, and that was it.
It does seem, Greg, I don't know if I'm right about this or not, there's a bit of a divide in form at the moment in the Forest camp. You've got players like Samba, Worrell, McKenna, Yates in really good form. I'll probably add Garner to that list. But then you've got other players. Zinchenko seems to have taken a dip. Brennan Johnson seems to have taken a dip. They don't really look like so much of a goal threat at the moment, do they?
No, yeah, it is the final third where we're struggling, isn't it? But that's why you hope, you know, the likes of Taylor are going to eventually come on, because he hasn't really got to the level we hoped he would yet, but there's still a decent player in there. Johnson's he's just young, isn't he? He's brilliant. He's so good, but the last few games he's been quiet. Zink, he got subbed, didn't he, on Friday, and that's probably the right decision. But you know, just Worrell, McKenna, just so good. They were so good, and I just think we're in danger of losing Worrell to, you know, the kind of offer that we can't refuse. And I just hope it's at the end of the season and not in January, because he's irreplaceable in our squad at the minute.
Is he better than McKenna, Worrell?
I think they're both very, very well. How much was McKenna? 3 million?
3 million, I think.
Bargain, absolute bargain. As long as he keeps fit, you can see how good he is. But just having two solid centre-backs like that, no wonder we're getting the clean sheets. We just need to be able to do a little bit more further afield. I noticed Worrell did his trademark massive pass right to the left diagonal again at the weekend, and that made me smile. It's his favourite ball, that one. But we just need to find how we can be more of a threat. And you hope on Saturday against a team we should beat that we'll get the goals. Johnson might get his goal, and that suddenly changes everything, doesn't it, for an attacking player? So we'll see. Fingers crossed, really.
Have you played centre halves? Do you think they've got the passing range of Beckham, Nathan?
I played with goalkeepers who have got passing range like Beckham. Yeah, there's been a few in the career. I can't know. We'd be here all day if I named them all.
I wanted to ask you about Brennan Johnson, Nathan, because there's a few similarities in his game to yours. He's very quick and he can beat a player, but Forrest seems to have struggled of late to get him in the game as much. I mean, what advice would you give to Brennan as a 20-year-old who's got the world at his feet? Is there anything you could say to... He's not playing badly at all, but would you give him any advice just to get his form back at all?
Well, I've known Brennan since he was, funny enough, his daughters went to the same school as my twin daughters, so I seen Brennan when he was a tiny kid. So seeing him do what he does, it's fantastic to see. It's a real joy and pleasure when you see someone like that. Very, very good lad, very polite and progressing and playing for the club. It's fantastic to see. Of course, he is young. I remember when I was at that age, it was the senior players and the manager that got behind me. I was being coached up by John Solarco, and I wasn't even a winger back then. That was the only place that I was going to get into the first team at Reading. So they were teaching me, balls into the box. I think the most important thing is that as a winger, your contribution is mainly assists. Obviously, you want to get goals. You want to get as many goals as you want, but you need to help get the balls in the box. I just was quite disappointed with the lack of penetration into the final third and the lack of balls into the box. You've got Grabbin, who could potentially be a 15, 20 goal a season man, but how's he going to do that with lack of service? And that's the same for Lyle Taylor. He's proven it before. But if you're not getting the balls in the box, and I think that you're not gonna score, you're not gonna create enough chances. But Johnson is, Brennan's, he's doing a fantastic job. He's still young, still learning, and I'd just like to see him be even more direct than what he is, and create more. But that stuff happens on the training field.
Was there a learning curve for you as a younger player who's obviously faster than the fullback 9 times out of 10? Do you have to learn a bit about your game?
Simplify it. I massively simplified my game. I used to try and step over every now and then when I was younger, and I just remember Kevin Dillon, my youth team coach, he said, "No, stop that. You don't need to do that, right? Just knock the ball and run." And that's exactly what I just did. I just used to get it to my feet, especially out in the wide areas, just knock it down the line and sprint past them. There was times in my career where I had defenders that actually rugby tackled me into the stand. Danny Cullop, from what you may remember him, he was at Forrest and that. But when he was at Brighton, he literally rugby tackled me into the stand at Wickham. It was hilarious. And he'd say to me, I had to do it. So you've got to use what you're blessed with. I was blessed with my pace, I still am, fortunately. But it was just one of those things. Just use your ability. Brennan's got a lot more. He can jink in, jink out. He can twist a defender up, which is fantastic, especially when he gets into tight spots in the wide areas. But I just like to see more deliveries in the box. Especially from players like him, because he has the ability and he's going to go far. He's got a very, very bright future ahead of him.
Do you think Forrest need to make a change, Greg? Just freshen it up a bit. It's been Zinkernagel and Johnson probably the last 4 or 5 games. Maybe give Lolly a start. Meissen hasn't a start for ages. Take Zinkernagel out, or maybe Brennan out for 1 game.
I'd like to see Johnson start again on Saturday. I just think it's going to be his kind of game and a real confidence game. But yeah, maybe Zink. But he's a quality player. What always gets me is like with Grabbin, like you want him to be the guy, the poacher in the box, and quite often you see him out on the wing, like putting crosses in when we're in that final third, and you wonder whether he's like trying to get a message across saying that he's not getting enough help out that side or what. But when we often do play with one striker, it must be hard for them, but we've got to start getting a few more goals in there, and I think Johnson's the key to that, isn't he? So keep him starting on Saturday.
Yeah, what do you think about that, Nathan? Grabbin, he drops deep when he plays up front on his own, and sometimes they don't get enough men in the box, especially against the good teams. I mean, I don't know how much you played up front on your own. It must be. It's a hard slog, I guess, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, but you've got to work to everyone's attributes. You know, we did it when we got promoted back in 2008. You know, I was spearheading the attack, and then Chris Cohen was just behind me. You know, Chris would pick up the ball in between and thread balls through to me, or you know, play it up wide. I was just basically occupying the two centre halves, or one centre half, or whatever formation you're up against. And for me, that's what Grabbin's doing, is a sign of frustration. He wants to get on the ball. He wants to try and make things happen. When a striker gets into that environment of, look, I'm sick and tired, I'm standing up here, I'm not getting any service, I want to drop deep. But you're dropping, you know, if that happens, then you drop deep, then someone else needs to penetrate through their back line. And he just looks frustrated to me. He's not getting the service that he needs and what he requires. And that's, if you change Grabbin and you put Taylor in, or if you put anyone else in, get another striker and you put someone else in, the problem's not going to go away. It's the lack of service into the final third. I would like to see Grabbin stay down the middle, occupy the two centre halves, and then, like you said, be a fox in the box when we get the deliveries in there. But if you start coming up wide, you're taking up someone else's space, it just goes a bit wrong.
Nathan mentioned about frustration there, Greg. Taylor looked very frustrated on Tuesday, I thought, against Luton. He put in a terrible tackle. It could have been a Nathan Tyson tackle at one point. I don't know, flying through the fullback, sliding in. He could have gone for it, I thought. What did you make of Taylor against Luton, Greg?
The one thing that you always notice with him is, like, when their keeper's got the ball, he's always got a lot of energy and he's chasing him down and making sure they haven't got too much time with it. But again, I don't know whether it's him or, well, he's scored loads of goals in the past, hasn't he? I just don't think we must be playing how he prefers. So he's going to have to change his game quickly if it's going to fit in with how we play. But again, it's just, I don't know whether we need like an FA Cup run against some smaller teams to see what's in the youth teams again, like we did at the start of the season, or what, because we haven't got the options up there. So we're not going to be able to give Taylor time to like find his form. It's got to happen sooner rather than later, especially if the aim is top six now. You know, we're within touching distance of that group of teams that are so close together. But we can't keep drawing, which they have all been quite good results, but we've got to start turning them into some wins, and that's down to Taylor, Grabbin, Johnson. You know, Garner's played a lot better recently, but it's got to be down to those players that can change a game.
Yeah, I think you want. I guess you want Taylor to hold the ball up, and he just doesn't. He hasn't really done that when he started. He hasn't really worked for him. Would you know him from ships in the night in League One, Nathan? Would you have played against Lyle Taylor a few times or not?
Not many times. Not come across him too many times. But you know, he's a player who's got, like Greg said, he's got high energy. He is a big lad as well. But it's just that frustrating. Every time I've watched him play for Forest, he works his socks off, but it's almost like he's trying too hard to impress. And I've been in that situation before. When you get into that category of, in your mind, that you need to think, oh right, I just need to do something. You know, get the fans up. You know, it's so much pressure on yourself, on your shoulders. And it's only a time where you end up getting dropped, and it's like, right, okay, well, there's a reason why I've been dropped, and I need to work out what it is. And you have to look in within yourself. It's not necessarily the manager's fault. Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. But you need to think about, as yourself as a player, what am I doing? What can I do to improve myself to get into this team? But he's got a lot of attributes. He can score goals. He's a very, very good finisher from what I've seen. But it's just, it comes down to service, guys. It really does. If you're not getting the service that you need, you're not going to be able to perform to your best ability. Like Greg said, you know, you only, what is it, 7 points off the player places? Is that right? You know, that's not a massive shift of turnaround of points that you need to get. What concerns me is if you get there, you need a striker that's going to be scoring 15 to 20 goals a season to really, really propel yourself even further. And I question that with Forrest at times. I'm not saying that the strikers that you have are below par. It's just the service is just not happening for them. They have the players there to do it, but there's a lot of work that needs to be done. But I don't want to be negative because there's been a lot of work clearly that's been done over the last few weeks since Cooper's come in, and you can see the improvement that's been made, and it's very, very positive. We're still in the first half of the season as well. We've still got the business end of the season. Anything can happen. So, I'm not a Forest fan, but I look forward to seeing how well Forest can do. They have the ability to push on.
Last one on strikers, since we've got a striker here. There's a bit of a growing campaign to bring Dale Taylor in, which Philip says. Now, I haven't seen him play, and I'm guessing you guys haven't either, but he's 17. He's already a Northern Ireland international, doing very well for the under-23s, and he's very highly thought of at Forest. But that's a big ask of a 17-year-old, Nathan, isn't it? When you were a 17-year-old kid at Reading, if you were going to be charged with getting the goals to get them up the championship table, that's quite a lot of that's a big ask, isn't it?
Yeah, it definitely is. It definitely is, and I don't think it's unless this boy is going to be the next Ronaldo or Messi or well, that's a bit too far. But
I know what you mean.
He's going to, when you have such a young striker, you have to partner him up with someone with a lot of experience, a very senior player that can show him, basically be a battering ram a bit and help him throughout the games. But is that what Forrest need to do right now? If he's good enough, he's old enough. But it's still a tall ask. But it's not out of the norm from Forrest, I think, in the past. From what I can remember.
True.
Well, Harewood and
Gary Mills. If you go back a bit further, playing European Cup finals and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly.
If we're looking at midfield, Greg, you mentioned Yates is playing well. What did you make of Brian Hayden against Luton?
Yeah, I was really surprised not to see him on Friday. I thought he was excellent. And I know it's easy to make this but he just reminded me of Raddy. I know because he's small and he was, but it was just like he was an exciting player that you think, God, I'd forgot about him. I'd completely forgot about him, and I thought he really did a good job. Didn't set the world alight. His first game for Forest, but a lot of people were talking about him after. So he's another great addition, someone to look forward to seeing. I mean, I wonder whether it's the end of Carvalho now that he's not even mentioned. He's not even in discussions anymore, is he? It's going to be such a strange saga when that all finishes. But when we have these players coming through that you forget we've even signed, and they really did put a good game in, it's good for the squad.
There's still a couple of people just saying Carvalho. I think there always will be.
Of course, he's the most expensive ever player, isn't he? I mean, but when it's now, 4 managers have all done the same, haven't they? They've all had a look and said, not for me. And it's gutting. I mean, £13 million, that's a hell of a lot of money for Championship, isn't it? And he did show on many occasions that he's a quality player, but there must just be something that us fans don't see with him. But I mean, it's pointless wasting much more time on him, really, isn't it? But yeah, the new players that came in, I'm excited about.
What do you make of Garner against West Brom, Nathan? He's had a bit of a sticky patch of form, but I thought he played very well in central midfield alongside Yates. Did they stand out for you?
Yeah, he did. It was a bit quiet at times. I've seen him play better games when I've watched him, but he's a one hell of a talented boy. I like him a lot, I really do. I think he's attacking plays a little bit off, but it's getting there. And I liked what I've seen. He's one for the future, and I think he's got a great future ahead of him. But I like what I see, and you've got to look after him and that. So be nice to him.
Yeah, he did run. It was that bit where he ran about 50 yards back to charge down the guy and concede a throw in or something. I thought that showed he's probably back on song.
You can't coach that. You know,
No.
that's desire. That's desire, and that's what impressed me the most. Like I said with Worrell, it was just that desire there. I mean, he's always had it, but the desire's there. When you've got that, it's so much an easier thought going into games, thinking, yeah, like we're not going to concede today. We're going to do well. We've got a good chance of winning the game. And when you've got talented players like Garner, like Johnson, you know, they can open up defences, but it's just getting there. And but I like to see that that challenge ahead, that Forrest can really push forward with those type of players.
Yeah, I suppose unless you are like you mentioned Messi and Ronaldo earlier, unless you're like a generational talent, if you're a young player, do you always have peaks and troughs, no matter whether you're from Man United or wherever?
Yeah, I played with Will Hughes, and remember we gone and played Millwall, and Barcelona scouts were in the stand watching him. It's crazy to think that, but after that he had a dip in form because he was so young. You know, he was coming into training, he was fatigued, and that can really, you know, it's a young body that's still growing, you know, and he at the time, I think he was like 17 years old, and that was happening to him. He scored that day against Millwall, but after that, his form just dipped. It wasn't because Barcelona were coming to watch him or Man City was watching him. It was just the fact that he was just fatigued because he wasn't used to training so much, like being in the first team around them all the time. So you can allocate for dip in form, but as a coach and a manager, you need to understand when that happens to pull them out, keep them refreshed. You've got other players in there that are capable of doing a very good job for the team, but you need to see that, you know, you can't really rag a racehorse for too much, especially if someone's so young.
So who are Forest's best two midfielders, Greg? I mean, Philip, that's an interesting question there. Is it time to prioritise a Jada over Garner? Because obviously Garner's on loan from Man United. If you were picking the midfield for Peterborough now, would it be Yates and Garner or Yates and a Jada with Colback as a wing back again? Now he's back from suspension. What would you do?
It'd be Yates and Garner, because I don't think we should be looking at the future just quite yet. We should be looking at the playoffs, you know, and the strongest players. But hopefully the cup games, we might have some, you hate to say, like minnows at home or something where you can do that. But Colback's back from suspension, isn't he?
Yeah, it was only
his form was superb, so I'd have all three of them playing if possible. And Colback's always an option, isn't he, for like a wing back as well? So especially if we're playing three good central defenders, we can almost overrun the midfield with one striker and five defenders. But yeah, it's a good problem to have, I'm sure, for Cooper.
I play Colback as a wing back. I thought he had a good game against Luton. He made two mistakes and got yellow cards for both of them, but
that's all. Yeah, but that's always been the case with Colback, hasn't it? Yellow cards. Yeah, he's always the first to get 5, it seems, and the suspension. So hopefully he's got that out of his system now. Because I'm so glad that his form has come on. Because when we signed him, it looked like maybe best years are behind him, but it's shown the last couple of games how good he can be.
Is it a bit harder when you get the wrong side of 30 or you're pushing 40, Nathan, with people writing you off?
Yeah, every day. I think my own kids do as well. It's like, Dad, you need to stop now. So it's like, no, I'm enjoying it. So you got to enjoy what you do. Otherwise, you're going to be rather miserable. So I'm enjoying it.
If we look ahead to January, then, Greg, because obviously that's going to decide a lot. How are you feeling about it? Because Lowe's out injured, Spence might go back. You worried about Worrell, you worried about Johnson potentially. Are you a bit nervous, or do you see January as an opportunity?
It's an opportunity, but, you know, is signing Spence even an option? Because Middlesbrough would be crazy not to take him back the form he's in. He has been absolutely quality for us, and I cannot believe God knows what he did to Warnock, because he's just brilliant. So do we push the boat out and try and sign him? We're going to miss Lowe, and we've already had a couple of games where he could have made the difference. So maybe our best signing in January will be a player that's already playing for us and keeping hold of Worrell and Johnson. But like I say, maybe the loan market again, but it's the attacking where the problems are, isn't it? We're really comfortable at the back, but we don't want to disrupt that, and it looks like it might well happen one way or another. Either Spence, Worrell getting the big money move, or something like that could really disrupt us.
Well, how do you think Forrest are good enough to mount a playoff push, Nathan? Well, I know you haven't seen too much of them, but have they got enough there in what's maybe a bit of a weaker league this season to have a go at the top 6?
Yeah, definitely. I think there is, like, you're only 7 points off it. So as long as you stay in touching distance and make a late surge, I can't see why not. But obviously, there's a lot of rebuilding that has to come. Maybe the fact that new managers come in. I don't know what his target is for this season. Maybe just to finish, obviously consolidate this year and then push on. We had it with Billy Davies when he took charge. It was just get us out of the situation we're in, consolidate ourselves, and then we push on next season. Cooper's going to want to push for a playoff place if it's there. But I feel like looking at it, the handcuffs are off really. It's like go and enjoy yourselves, go and do what you can. Just don't get relegated. It's the main thing. But it's if I was in that team, I'd be like, look, it's a fresh start with yet another new manager. But it's the gloves are off. Just go and enjoy yourselves and show the manager what you can do. If you make the playoffs, great. If you don't, you don't. But there's a lot to build on, and there's a lot of positivity. I think they can definitely easy enough make the push for the playoffs. Question is, can you actually do it and get through that? That's another thing.
How much of a thing is new manager banks? People talk about it a lot. I mean, is that a real thing in a dressing room or not?
Yeah. Because there's, a new manager coming in might change. Like he will start bringing in his own training sessions, which become enjoyable to start off with. If you keep doing the same thing over and over again, it gets repetitive. But there's just a new type of buzz. And for instance, for players that have been out of the team, it's a new lease of life. They might not got along with the old regime. So there's new buzz and then there's obviously uncertainty as well, because you could be playing week in, week out, and then new manager comes in, doesn't like your face don't fit in, and that's it, gone, you're done. So there's a lot of uncertainty, and obviously when you get that bounce, you naturally will get it, but it's about maintaining that bounce as well. And you have to have your philosophy correct in how to move the club forward. So, which I think Steve Cooper is, from what I've seen, is very, very good. So it's in your hands, really.
I mean, at least they're a more enjoyable side, aren't they, than under Houghton? As a fan, Greg, it must be so much better now, mustn't it?
Yeah, it is. There just seems to be like a genuine passion with Cooper as well. I never used to listen to the interviews after games with previous managers, and with Cooper, he just speaks so well. He seems to get it. And you think with Dane Murphy now there as well behind the scenes, and obviously, he's going to be planning for January, and this is his first big test of himself, isn't it? So I'm excited for January and for the second half of the season, because you forget, like Nathan said, we're not even halfway through. I think we've got like 25 games left. There's still a hell of a long way, and it's so easy to say, oh, well, yeah, this season, we'll see what happens and build for next. But 25 games, it's so many points left remaining, and I just think that the crowd are on the right side of the players for once. We all can't wait to see the manager keep getting better and better, do his little fist pump on Saturday after we win, and you just think there's just a nice feeling around the club again at the minute. And it's been missed recent years, and I'm excited. I'm confident. I just feel like we're building now, and we're not trying to rush into things, and we're getting the right people in the right positions, not just on the pitch but off the pitch.
Right, what's happening with you then, Nathan? You always tell me you're going to keep playing. Is this the last season, or could we get one more season out of you, do you think?
Oh, we'll see. I mean, I'm not playing much at the moment. I came on last Tuesday, in a bit of an alien role for me, really. But we ended up drawing the game 2-2. We've got literally, it's ridiculous, the injury list we've got. It's like 12 plus players, I think, and a lot of them are long-term injuries as well. We've had a player who's shattered a kneecap, someone's broken an eye socket. It's literally the injuries we're getting, but yet we're top of the league, so it's mad. So obviously it's nice that it means that I'm getting involved and getting on the bench, but I just feel for the lads really that are injured. But I think we're going to be all right. But in terms of myself, yeah, I might as well do another year if I can somewhere. So I'm just going to enjoy. Look, I'm just enjoying the moment, enjoy the season, and I'll regroup and think about it at the end of the year. I mean, I get a lot of stick from my teammates and that saying, "Oh, you're old. You know, you need a walking stick and all this stuff." And yeah, I'm still running past them and that. So it's just weird. I'm in a weird situation because my body's not failing me. I think if my body was that, just failed me completely and it's like, look, you can't do it anymore, then it's an easy decision. But at the moment, it's just a tough one, really, because I know that I can still go out there and do it. It might be just in short bursts and, coming off the bench and having 30 minutes here, 30 minutes there, or, see how it goes. But I'm just enjoying it. I'm enjoying the challenge, especially when we're top of the league as well. It's good. It's good. It'd be nice to play Forrest in the FA Cup. We've got FA Cup this weekend against Salford, so it'd be nice to draw away at the City Ground and get booed again. So.
Oh, it'd be hilarious. If you knocked Salford out of the FA Cup, that'd be hilarious with all their money.
Yeah, it's on TV as well, so I need to go and get a haircut and that, make myself look good.
What was the alien role you came on in?
We played me in the 10. We had 2 10s. So, but at that time, Altrincham were just literally just pressing on. We couldn't get near them, and we just dropped deeper and deeper and deeper. And it invited them on, and they scored. The first goal was we should have done better. The second one was just a deflection over our keeper, and then, but we were very disappointed. It was like a loss for us. But in hindsight, looking back on it, we've had so many injuries, key injuries as well. And yet we've only lost 1 game this season, so we take it on the chin and say, like how Greg felt after the game on Friday, that's how we felt. We felt disappointed because we should have won the game. But in hindsight, it was pretty much a good result. It keeps us on check, and we've not been surpassed this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you're playing for Chesterfield. We should say, last one before we go. That's a mad league, isn't it? Non-league, the National League. You've got Wrexham are owned by Hollywood. Notts County are a massive club. Stockport are signing players on like whatever 1,000 a week. It's a tough old league, isn't it, to get out of?
It's literally I thought League 1 and League 2 were a fly trap. I don't even know what this one you can call it, a trap door or whatever. It's so tough. Everyone can beat everyone. And also you're playing against teams that are part-time as well. It's just crazy. It's just crazy. I really do think that they need to give an extra place for playoff, for promotion in the league, because the gap between the National League and League 2 is not that massive. It's a lot of teams that do go up do tend to stay up, apart from obviously with what happened with Macclesfield. It's just a strange league. Strangely.
Right, I think we shall leave it there. Thanks to everyone who watched along and listened along as ever and dropped some comments in. Do give us, if you could give us a 5-star review and a nice comment on iTunes, that would make a big difference, because it lets people see the podcast and then find it. So that does help. So that'd be great. Nathan, thanks very much for joining us, and we wish you well for the rest of the season.
Oh, thank you. Thanks a lot. Cheers.
And Greg, thanks as ever.
Yeah, no, good to speak to you, Nathan.
And you, Greg. And you.
And we shall be back this time next week. Thanks very much, everyone.